What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to SK Wealth Academy podcast number 118. Is banking inherently evil? Now, before I get started, I want to give a big up to all my SK Wealth Academy patrons. If you're wondering what benefits you will receive by throwing me a little love and support by becoming a patron, please just visit patreon.com/SK Wealth Academy. You'll receive investment analysis and tips every single week, as well as 2 extra bonus podcasts a month. And just within the past 12 months, I have given specific price points to buy 2 stocks that have increased by 429% and 1,650%. That's correct. That means not even a 10 bagger, which is 1,000%, but this stock went up 16 and a half times in just a few months. And there's also multiple other option strategies for you options traders out there that I have provided within the past 12 months. I would say at least 10, just thinking off the top of my head, that received that have yielded double-digit and triple-digit returns. And as well, my patrons know that I provided price points of the exact, almost, I won't say exact because you have to be to the penny then, but basically the very near bottom of in the past few years to buy physical gold and silver, because I told people to go in when spot gold was at $1,180 and when spot silver was less than $13 an ounce. So these people are now sitting on their physical gold and silver stacks over 100% profits on their silver and about 75-80% on their gold, I believe it is. So let's get started with that PSA out of the way. Now, is banking inherently evil? I will answer that question in this podcast, but today's topic is so much more inclusive than just this specific question. This podcast is also about the binary paradigm of good and evil that is so strongly promoted, and if that is an improper way to view life as we progress on our individual journeys to find meaning and substance in our lives. So spoiler alert, yes, it is an improper way, because then we start devolving into the transhumanist perspective of viewing life as better or worse. Because once you go to good and evil, then it becomes better or worse, which is a transhumanist plan to rid the world of morality by making everything not right or wrong, but just better or worse. So it's not that banking is inherently evil by nature or even inherently destructive, because almost any system, whether it is banking, government, or religion, can be used for good or evil, depending upon who is in control of these particular systems. That's why nearly every single person that says religion is evil is not a scholar of religion and has never even studied religion. So if you are to make certain claims, you should at a minimum be a scholar of that framework that you are criticizing, meaning you should have devoted at a minimum a few months of your life in studying that topic. And if not, and you want to proselytize and make unsubstantiated, uneducated claims, then you may very well be among the worst class of uneducated people. Someone that does not even know what they do not know. Because there are those that are uneducated about a topic that fully recognize they are uneducated about a topic. And they are a much greater intellectual than those that refuse to recognize that they know nothing about subjects about which they proselytize. Furthermore, I want to make it clear that I don't hold hatred in my heart for anyone. In the heat of a moment, I can express heated anger. Sure, if I didn't, I wouldn't be human. But I don't hold on to it. Because even if someone espouses great anger towards me and they're completely wrong, the fact that they can check their temper and hold a civil conversation is a sure sign that they are not intelligent enough to be convinced of the truth, even if you provide the truth to him or her. So why waste your time? Because it's a complete waste of my time, as it would be a complete waste of yours to deal with such people and even try to change their minds. So someone that wants to believe in lies and is committed to this position will never change their minds, unfortunately. So are there self-proclaimed religious people that have committed evil acts? Absolutely. Are there bankers that have committed evil acts? Absolutely. There is no one more evil than that Bank of America banker that tortured and murdered 2 migrant Indonesian women in Hong Kong. I think it was in 2014. It was either 2013 or 2014. But does the act of one single banker make all bankers evil? Of course not. Do self-proclaimed religious people that commit evil acts make all religious people evil? Of course not. So if you talk to Muslims that condemn other Muslim extremists that commit terrorist acts that kill innocent people, they will unilaterally call those people hateful Muslims that are not religious, because they rightfully argue that it is impossible to be religious and to murder innocent people. So if you talk to Jews that condemn Jews that support apartheid-like laws against Palestinians and support the IDF's murder of innocent Palestinians, these Jews will call those people that commit these hateful acts hateful Jews that are not religious, do not live religious lives, and they live unholy lives driven by political ideology, and quite radical political ideology. So it's ludicrous for those Jews that try to label anyone that questions clear-cut, indisputable, immoral, hateful acts committed by a hateful Jew as an anti-Semite. But there are people, there are people out there that if you criticize any wrong behavior by a Jew, they will try to smear your name and call you anti-Semite. So any person that engages in such absurdities is an intellectual coward that can never be led to truth. And I would say the exact same thing about any hateful Muslim or Christian that tried to excuse acts of terrorism committed by another Muslim or Christian. So no religion is devoid of unethical, spineless, immoral people, and unfortunately, spineless, immoral people protect and defend the acts of other spineless cowards simply due to the fact that they share a group, this group, in this case being religion. So even though the true intellectuals of their religious backgrounds always condemn spineless criminal acts committed by those of the religion 100% of the time. So do you know why they do this? Because they receive a lot of backlash for doing this and a lot of pushback and a lot of clapback. They do this because they are truly moral people whose morals are not conditional upon the nationality, skin color, race, or religion of the person committing the act, whereby it is acceptable if committed by someone that looks and thinks like them, but immoral if committed by someone with whom they do not share similar ideologies. They don't think like that. Their moral compass is unbreakable. For morality has no ideology, but right and wrong. Unfortunately, the Jews that condemn hateful Jews that commit crimes against Palestinians, the Muslims that condemn Muslims that commit terrorist acts, the Christians that condemn fake Christians like Mike Pompeo that believe God justifies the killing of thousands or even millions of innocent civilians of war, are always pushed aside and never given a voice by the cowards that own mass media that control all the narratives about politics and religion because they work for the parasitic class that are more interested in spreading hate and division among people of different religions rather than peace, unity, and love. And though it is the oldest trick in the book that's been used for thousands of years by parasitic rulers, whether you would call those rulers kings and queens back in the day, or the nobility back in the day, or even just corporate CEOs and global bankers today, humanity unfortunately has not progressed over these thousands of years to the point where this trick is no longer effective. Unfortunately, it is still very effective. So the parasitic class continues to spread propaganda and hatred to keep us all divided in a manner in which they, meaning the ruling parasitic class, ensures that they retain their power and even grow their power, because a lot of times they will create false crises in order to seize more power, as they have done through the economic lockdowns that they enforced through the COVID-19 virus. So this same paradigm exists in the mass media about spreading hatred and ignorance, whether in religion, politics, academia, and so on. So if you talk to honest bankers, and yes, honest bankers do exist, that condemned the manipulation of LIBOR rates to create multi-billion-dollar profits per day through the manipulation of LIBOR rates by just 25 beeps or basis points in and around the years of the 2008 global financial market meltdown. I actually think that actually followed that meltdown, because if memory serves me correct, I think they made these billions in profits per day manipulating LIBOR rates, as I said, by as little as 25 basis points. I think it was around the years 2010, 11, 12, 13. And how do we know this? Because Bank of America bankers testified in court that they did so. And they're honest bankers that will call those bankers that did so criminals and will refuse to defend the criminal actions of their peers. So by calling these specific bankers criminals, we're not labeling all bankers as criminals, even though the industry supports systemic criminality. So those that are not afraid to stand up to the industry and condemn criminal behavior of their peers, though they are extremely rare, do not deserve to be herded into the criminal class occupied by the majority of their peers. On the other hand, a lot of bankers, and I know a handful of them, rationalize their careers by pretending to be ignorant of the systemic criminal nature of the business that employs them. Remember, like, if you saw that movie, The Godfather, and I assume that most people watching this as it's one of the best films about the underworld, criminal, mafia, family life. There is a scene from the first Godfather in which Michael Corleone's wife demands to know if Michael whacked his brother-in-law. And Michael says, "I'll allow you to ask me about my business one time." He said, "One time, but never again." And then he proceeds to lie to his wife and tells her that he didn't whack his brother-in-law when indeed he did. So a lot of people in politics and corporate work under that same self-delusion, because it's a self-delusion. Because their colleagues tell them, hey, look, nobody went to jail, so it wasn't a crime. So I've actually even heard someone I knew that worked for HSBC Bank use that very argument when it came to the criminality of HSBC money laundering billions of dollars for the most violent drug cartel in Mexico, the Sinaloa drug cartel, as well as their very well-documented lines of business with terrorists. He said, look, nobody went to prison, so it couldn't have been a crime. So that is such an illogical argument, because drug cartels murder people all the time, but because they have cops, judges, and juries all on the take in their back pocket, they never go to prison. So does that mean because they didn't go to prison for murder, that murder is not a crime? So I have little respect for the bankers that are like Michael Corleone's wife. They may ask a few questions here and there, and like Michael Corleone's wife, they really know in their heart of hearts the true answer. She really knew in that movie that her husband murdered his brother-in-law, but she accepted his lie because she did not want to believe it, and accepting the lie made her feel better. And I know a ton of bankers like that. They accept the lies that nobody in the industry is committing a crime, because say if front running was a crime, then thousands of bankers would be in jail. Because thousands of bankers are in jail, as a trader, I can engage in front running, even though it's a crime, because nobody went to prison, so it must not be a crime. So you cannot be a chameleon, commit behavior at work, because everyone else is doing it. And you say, oh, it's okay. I'm okay with that. But never dare commit the same type of behavior with your own family. Because if you did, you knew they would think less of you. Your morality can never be changeable, shifting, malleable, convenient. If it is not as solid and consistent as the North Star, guess what? You never had any morals to begin with. Furthermore, if you need to spend time convincing yourself that some behavior you engage in is right, guess what? It's probably wrong. So before I continue, let me tell you how the LIBOR scam worked. Bankers raised LIBOR rates artificially on the first day of the month when many ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages, their interest rates were recalculated on the first of the month. and thereby they made a lot of subprime loan payments substantially higher between the years 2000 and 2009. So if you want to know why also the subprime mortgage market collapsed in 2008 during that crisis, it was not only because a lot of bankers gave these loans